Nice bag, though, huh?
Dub, Mark and Shea and Chet were just talking about kind of the force that Minnesota played with, and that you all didn't quite have that, fastball that you normally have on that front. Where in the game are you sort of feeling that? Is it, initial positioning on possessions? Is it, hands? Is it what goes into that?
Talking about like overall.
Yeah, overall force. Yeah, like on possessions.
Usually, very boring answer, but like usually the beginning of the game, like that's where you got to be better. We got a lot of live ball turnovers, and just like that drives momentum. So we definitely not like to do that, and it just wasn't physical enough. They played more desperate than we did, and yeah, that's kind of all I have. But you can kind of tell from the beginning of the game, and then obviously it just got out of hand. They're comfortable, they're making shots, they're making the right plays, so we got to just be more physical and ready to go when the game starts.
When they are playing with that sort of edge, I know you guys rarely ever face double-digit deficits, let alone 15, 20, 30. Like, how hard is it in the middle of a game, especially of that nature, to sort of match that edge?
It's tough. Like I said, when a team is like that, obviously they're a good team, we know that, but when you just give them that much freedom, it's, I don't want to say impossible to slow down, but it's very hard. And it's not like the game was close, you know what I mean? Like, we weren't shooting well either, so when you add that into not playing, not matching how they're playing energy-wise, it's very hard to slow a good team like that, especially when they're comfortable.
And Chet was in here just mentioning certain plays, certain sequences where Minnesota's just almost like physically willing you guys out of your stuff and forcing you to do different things. When he says that, like, what do you think of? I mean, I know, like, you and Randall kind of, trying to out-physical each other. Like, what are some of the things you're thinking of when he says that?
Just, I don't know. It's nothing that we haven't really seen. Just, like, same stuff we do, like blowing up ball screens. I think everybody that watches, like, even if you've never watched basketball, like, you can probably see, like, the physicality, like the Julius Randle player you're talking about with me and him, like, on the block. Like, everybody sees those plays. I think a lot of it is just, like, I don't want to say physical. It's more like energy. It's like them being in the right spot early, like them rotating and making the extra effort. Like, stuff like that in my head is where the game got lost for us and, like, what they were doing. So I wouldn't say it was, like, overly physical. It was just, like, them flying around and having confidence and, like, just playing desperate. Like, that's what it felt like.
You lost 3 games to Denver last series, but you didn't have to deal with this kind of loss. This loss was pretty atypical of what you guys have had to deal with in the postseason. Even with Game 3 in Memphis, that was only a half. This was 48 minutes. How do you respond to that? And, how do you, get to the root of the real issue?
You just kind of got to scrap it. We'll look back, and obviously we'll have a good game plan in place. But a lot of it, too, is just, like, you got to kind of come out ready to play, and can't be surprised by, like, how, like, obviously they're down in the series, so you can't be too shocked at, like, how they come out. And I think that had a little bit to do with it. But to further answer your question, I mean, it's just a loss, like, regardless of, how many points. And, like, we've been on the other end of that, and it's just, now it's 2-1. Like, that's how we have to think about it. I mean, in college I've lost by 60, so it can always be worse.
Anybody else? We'll go Joel and this one.
Doug, you guys have scored, at least through the first 2 games, in the paint almost at will. Why do you think that sort of changed today?
Our defense was not very good, so it's hard to get any flow of offense when you're taking the ball at every play.
Jalen, the first 2 games of the series seemed to really be in your bag offensively. Coming into this arena, obviously, different environment. What did you see, outside of the way they started, what did you see in the sense of how they defended you that disrupted your offensive flow tonight?
Out of my flow? I played like 10 minutes today. So not too much of anything. Just, like, like I said, just not being able to get stops. It's definitely harder to like go down and score and find cracks when you're playing against a set defense the whole time. And that's for both ends of the team. Like you got to get stops in order to win games, in order to have some type of flow. And they were getting stops. They had flow on offense, and we weren't getting stops. No flow. That's kind of how the game works. But yeah, I still thought my process was good throughout the entire game. It's just obviously I didn't like play normal minutes, normal game. You know, you try not to force everything either down that big. You know, when you're trying to chop a lead down, you can't try and make all these home run plays. You know, you kind of got to stack over and over again, and wasn't able to do that. But that's kind of the game.
This will be the last one, Daniel.
Everybody that's come in here has talked about you guys' defense, and for the last 2 years, you guys have used your defense to either get back in games or expand leads. Tonight wasn't the case. Why do you feel that is?
Just didn't have it. I wish I could get into like specifics. I gotta like watch the game. I don't really like speaking on like X's and O's and stuff that we could have did to get better as far as like the game, especially when it happens, because there's so many like emotions that go into the game, and I could be wrong, and you know, you never want to like blow it up too much. But I think just like playing with more of an edge and not be, like I said, not being shocked like how they're gonna play, especially down in the series, and just like obviously they had some success with that tonight, so they're gonna come out like that again, and just not being shocked by that I think will be like a really good start for us, and we can kind of go from there.